Good evening, everyone. It is the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority. It is August 1, 2016. Roll call, please.
Stroller.
Here.
Morrell. Platt. Here. Eversole. Here. Marshall.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Gilbert. Here. Colburn.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Mr. Streller, would you lead us in prayer, please?
You bet. Y'all please pray with me. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this evening. I want to thank you for the rights that we have in this country and the opportunities that we have in this country to stand and be proud of what we stand for, and to be able to honor you in public, to be able to give you glory in public. And that being said, I would like to give you the praise that you deserve for all those opportunities that we have. Dear Heavenly Father, I'd like to pray for the men and women that protect us in our community and every community around this nation that we live in. Seems like they're all coming under attack, and we just ask that you be with them and be with their families and guide them and protect them. I ask you for this evening, for your graces upon this meeting. Give us all the wisdom that we need to make decisions for our community, and let us lead to the best of our abilities. And everything that comes out of the meeting will be to glorify you. I pray this through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Bill. First item on the authority meeting is the consent agenda, items A and B. Any of those need to be discussed further, or do we have a recommendation?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Stroller.
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole. Yes. Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. We'll move down to item 4 now, which is comments from those assembled concerning the PMA. Is there any comments this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Council, staff. Seeing none, new business, any new business? Bring it to the council, or the authority this evening. Seeing none. Item 7 is consider approval of hangar construction and sublease agreement with R. Michael McDaniel. This is for a 40 by 50 airplane hangar to be on Lot 4S, Perry Municipal Airport, along with a concrete drive to access the hangar. The form of lease agreement has been previously approved by the Board of Trustees of the airport. You've seen that sublease attached in your record. Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call please.
Stroller.
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole. Yes. Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 8.
Motion adjourned.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Stroller.
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole. Yes. Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. I now call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry. It is August 1, 2016. Roll call please.
Stroller.
Here.
Morrell. Platt. Here. Eversole. Here. Marshall.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Gilbert. Here. Colburn.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. I do declare a quorum. First item is the consent agenda. We have items A through G. Any of those need to be discussed separately, or do you recommend as submitted?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Stroller.
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole. Yes. Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled. Anyone wish to make comments this evening concerning our agenda?
Okay, I've got something about 8 now, or
I think we'll allow you to wait till that item comes up if you wish. Any further? Thank you. Item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, inquiries by the governing body. Chief, could you give us about the, not the citation, but the appreciation you, sir, about the fellow who helped your officer?
Well, Gloria ran a story at Saturday's paper. It was Wednesday morning, about 7 o'clock. Lieutenant Odell was headed to work. Seen a motorcycle speeding down Fur, went to make a stop. The motorcycle pulled into Mr. C's, hit in between cars, and when he pulled up to him, that man jumped off his bike, started walking. He gave him a command to come here. There goes a foot chase, and you don't try to outrun Lieutenant Odell. He's like a deer anyway. I mean, it's incredible. So at least he catches him. The guy's fighting. He uses his taser. He got 2 in the back, which it kind of stunned him, but it didn't knock him down. And a citizen just moved to Perry, witnessed all this, got out and assisted Lieutenant Odell with the arrest, and so we did present him a certificate showing that we really appreciated his efforts. So it's really nice that with everything going on in the world right now, just have a citizen come by and help out. So it was really a great honor to Damian Bean was his name.
Bean?
B-E-A-N. So anyway, it was all good. So.
Well, we here at council want to state our appreciation also. Anyone else? Ms. Ruttfire, City Manager, remarks, please.
The first one that I have is more for public information, just to let the community know that we've received a notice from Plains All-American Pipeline out of Wichita Falls that they would be doing some right-of-way clearing along their pipeline that runs through Perry. I don't have a map that shows the location, but I just wanted to give citizens a heads up that they would be working in town. They should be in marked vehicles. I'll give Gloria the full notice from Plains Pipeline, so if you want to run something in more detail, you can. But it's really just, and I don't have a date, it just said the next month. And so, you know, I called and requested information, more detail, but haven't gotten anything back. If I do, I'll get that to Gloria and she can get it out in the paper. Item 2 is just a reminder about tree limbs from the windstorm that we had. Need to be 4 foot in length, no more than 4 inch in diameter, stacked parallel to the street, please. As I drive around, I see huge limbs and tree trunks piled out by the street, and those are going to be way too big for Davis Sanitation to handle, and they won't pick them up. Also, once you're ready for your limbs to be picked up, please call City Hall and we'll add you to the list, and that list gets sent on to Davis Sanitation. I know they're working, you know, they picked up some limbs. I don't know how, you know, where they are on the list and working through the list, but you know, we just keep letting them know that you know, we have more to pick up every time someone calls in. This Saturday, as far as daily opening for the city pool, it'll be the last daily opening. We are going to open the next 2 Saturdays. We have enough staff that we can open, I think 1 to 6, I think is what they're going to do for the 2 Saturdays. And then we've got, for the next couple of weeks, we've got quite a few end of summer pool parties scheduled in the evening. So the pool's going to be busy, even though it won't be open during the day, during the week. So we've had really a good summer at the pool, and you know, hopefully that's just a trend for future years, that we have good summers at the pool. Sam Harmon, is here somewhere?
Yeah, he's hiding over there.
Is he hiding? Okay. Today, the street department walked several miles of parks and drainage areas dropping what is called mosquito dunks in the water. And so, like I say, they walked a lot of areas to try to address the mosquitoes that are, we love the rain, but we don't like the mosquitoes after the rain. And so, once it turns dry, we won't have to worry about those mosquitoes anymore, because the life cycle, they don't live very long. So anyway, I just wanted to let the public know that the street department is out there trying to mitigate mosquitoes. The spraying is kind of questionable about how effective it is and how long-lasting it is. So we found these to be the dunks to be more effective. And Russ has something that he wanted to piggyback onto my comments with, so I'll turn it over to Russ.
Mary didn't want to let me have my own spot on the agenda tonight. You know,
No.
I feel like I lost my last meeting to Meredith, so I need a little bit of
You
time
did.
to
Need some
talk
face time.
for just a second. Really, guys, it's going to be quick. You should have received or will be receiving an email from the auditors related to a questionnaire that they have to send out just as part of the audit process. I just wanted to hit maybe real quickly a couple of these questions that are on there, and so if you guys have further questions, you can ask me, you can sit down and talk to them about what it really means. But in general, what is going on is they are required to assess the potential for fraud within our entity at any given time. And one of the places they look is the board itself. And so they're asking these questions to you all at a high level. What do you know? What do you think is there? Are you concerned about something is really where they're coming from. So they want just general answers. If you don't have any understanding of it, you can say, I don't understand, or ask Russ, or something like that. Those are acceptable answers in these blanks as you go down. You're not required to know those kind of things. Real quickly, I'm going to hit these. Are you aware of any actual instances of fraud within the organization? If you know of any, list those, and they'll address those during the audit. In your board position, how familiar are you with the internal financial processes? What they're referring to is how we collect money, what we do as far as processing invoices. How familiar are you with that? If you're not familiar, it's okay. Say, hey, they take care of that with internal controls. We've approved the purchasing policy, and outside of that, you might not know anything that goes on with that, and that's an acceptable answer. Which controls can be bypassed or overridden, and who has the authority to do so? If you don't know, answer, I don't know. That is more than all right for that answer, especially on these pieces. Do you believe the financial statements present fairly the entity's financial position? If you think that the monthly financials you get are accurate, or you're at least trusting Russ enough to believe they're accurate, that can be your answer. Well, Russ says they are. Now, don't make Russ says they are or Russ says all of your answers on these, because that won't fly, but for the most part, giving that piece. And what I'm telling you here, you don't have to answer. Answer according to your own individual knowledge of these things. I'm just trying to tell you that some of these things will work. Do you encourage staff to report fraud, or how is staff encouraged to report fraud? Where are the weaknesses regarding day-to-day operations? In what ways are you satisfied with internal control structure or segregation of duties? Does it work efficiently? If you don't know, say, I don't know. That, again, acceptable answer in that part. On down about what controls, really number 10 is the one that you'll probably have the most varied answers on. Are there specific areas that you want them to look into, related to this, and what test would they want? If you think that there's a problem in cemetery, department, in collecting grave openings, I'm just trying to give you something. Hey, we need to look at the cemetery department. That would be the answer in those cases. So nothing specific. Please do not stress out about these. Very simple. I don't know, or rely on somebody else, or look to Russ, ask Mary. That kind of stuff is more than acceptable answers for that questionnaire. So, if you will get that filled out, that will help them do their overall assessment of risk of fraud within the organization. Sorry that it was 10 questions, but that's how CBEW wanted to do it this year. So that's why you're getting these. So. if you do have further questions or something, you guys know, always pick up the phone and call me. I'll be happy to help you answer that, or they'll sit down with you. If you think Russ is our problem in this situation, you know, then you can talk directly with Gabby or with one of the staff there at CDEW, and they'll take care of it. So, but they are due on site in short order. I think a week from now. They're going to be out here to do the audit. So, you know, this is a quick turnaround. We're running through a lot of things, keeping some things cleaned up inside the office. So we should have a report maybe in mid-September if everything goes right. So that'll be one down, and that will be the quickest that we've ever put out this audit report. If we can get it out for that September meeting. So anyhow, things are good, and I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you, Mary. Item 7, receive recommendations on FY 2016-2017 street projects. Our engineer from MKEC is here, and Sam and he have gone over the streets, so I'm going to ask him to step up and lead us in this.
I don't like going places without handouts.
He's not here.
We'll get it.
Get it.
Yeah, we get it. Thank you.
What?
If you don't have enough for.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I hope so. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Well, we at least know I can count. What you have is just the maps. I like to talk in pretty pictures. What we've done is we were hired on by Perry a while back to help the city with the street program for the next couple of years. Sam had provided us with a great list of his kind of initial assessment. He took a lot of time, well ahead of a lot of the towns we've worked with, and actually gone out and kind of looked at all your roads to kind of get an idea of what's bad, what's not bad. We talked with Mary kind of on budget, what the city's looking to actually try to spend on an annual basis. And with all that information, we kind of spent the day with Sam. I spent the time driving the streets, looking at some of the ones that he thought were bad, some of the ones that I had seen just driving around, and talk some philosophy. And kind of the philosophy was, whenever you do street programs, you want to focus on two main things, primarily being maintenance and then major repair. And you don't ever want to forget either one of them, because if you do nothing but maintenance, you're never going to fix your really bad streets. And if you spend all your money on your really bad streets, you're just going to have a whole bunch of other streets fail, and ultimately it costs you more money in the long run. So that was kind of our mentality going in. At the same time frame, we know this is kind of the first big year of the program, and we wanted to find streets that really, you know, a lot of bang for the buck and had a lot of impact to the town. So that's what we looked at. The map actually only shows the streets we're recommending. We did look at several more streets than we're presenting, but we went through the $1 million pretty fast. Basically, the streets we first looked at were well over $1 million. That's to be expected. That's good. On programs like this, you always want to be thinking a couple years ahead. So in our mind, we kind of already have the next couple of years of potential streets, but it is a very fluid system. We'll look at this every year. For example, we looked at Park Street and Park Drive, and they look, just from when I looked at them 2 months ago, they look a lot different than they do today. So things change pretty rapidly. So what you have before you is two maps. On one side of the map, you'll see Ivanhoe Street. And what we're showing here is this is the work that we think we can get done quickly. Ivanhoe Street is a residential street, but where it terminates, the way it's explained to me is it does see heavier traffic. It's definitely a road that sees some additional non-residential vehicles on it. And all in all, the most part of the street, from 6th Street all the way down the 1st Street, is not in bad shape. It is definitely a candidate for what we would call heavy maintenance, except for that one section that's in between 3rd and 4th Street. That section is not good. It's like a completely different street. It's very strange. That street does require some heavier maintenance, but still can be done without a design. And why that's important to you is if I don't have to produce actual design drawings, 5 or 6 pages, conduct surveys, I can get this done faster is what's more of considered a performance spec, which means we tell the contractor how we want it done. We want it to match the existing contours, the existing grade, and he doesn't need much more from us. I can produce those and get them out on the street within weeks versus months. So we looked at that very heavily because this is something I think we can get done this year. You know, we can get this out to bid this month, towards the end of the month, and still catch the end of the paving season. The two options for this street, everything that's in yellow, we're considering a mill and overlay, which means they come in, they'll take the top 2 inches off of that street. They'll put a brand new 2 inches of asphalt, and we've assumed about 20% of that street needs more work, full depth patching, so that it's still a nice uniform base. So that's the estimate numbers that you see of that just shy of 300,000. It reflects that patching. The orange section in the middle, they're gonna have to completely take the street out. They'll modify the base so that it's nice and even. So really what we would propose that they're doing is they're gonna take 2 inches off of everything. They'll go and build this section between 3rd and 4th and leave it 2 inches shallow. Then they'll do a nice 2-inch lift over the entire stretch of the road. So it will look like one uniform repair. And that all can be done without drawings. Don't see any significant drainage issues. Nothing really concerned me other than the street. The other section you do see on that is the section of Ivanhoe between 6th and 7th. That is a completely different story. That cannot be done without design. I mean, it is in horrible shape. Really bad curb and gutters, very unique drive entrances that will require a design effort. So we would propose that be looked at potentially for next year or even the following year, just depending on where we're going. But that definitely cannot be handled without us getting survey crews out here and really trying to figure out how we're going to fix those people's drives and how that actually transitions so that it matches the rest of the nice street. So that's what we're calling that's what we're kind of calling the heavy maintenance program for the first year. The budget for that right now is about $300,000. Those are budgetary estimates, which means I only have 3 or 4 line items in there with a pretty good contingency. As I go through the design and we lay it out, we'll actually do an engineer's estimate and try to narrow that down. 3 big things. 1, I've got to learn your prices. Honestly, as I come into new towns, I really need to spend some time and figure out what things actually cost. 2, I'm trying to attract some more contractors down here. I also work in Blackwell, and Blackwell has some street work coming up, and I'm hoping to kind of piggyback on some of that, to get some of these Wichita contractors or Oklahoma City contractors to spend an hour and a half to come out here. When you get projects big enough, you can get a little more competition out there. And then the third one really is just making sure I have my measurements right, make sure there are no surprises that help us tighten up this estimate. But still, the goal for this would be within this month to have a package out on the street and try to get this work done this calendar year. Weather dependent, we could be pouring asphalt as late as December if the weather plays nice. I will let you know, most paving contractors are screaming that they're behind schedule because of the weather. But still, the intention is to get this out on the street and try to get this work done this year. The other side of your page will have 8th Street. We looked at the entire length of 8th Street. We even looked at south of Birch Street. We just didn't put it on the map for this particular run. This map matches the same color scheme, so everything that you see in orange basically cannot be done with the mill and overlay. Really is beyond the point of being able to use any sort of heavy maintenance technique. The yellow sections are, I think, have the potential of being able to be taken care of with heavy maintenance. Whether it be a mill and overlay, whether it just be a seal coat, we definitely looked at those. Budgetarily, we can't get it all done. We cannot get all of 8th Street done. So we focused on the southern section of the street. So from Birch Street to Elm Street is definitely in dire need. It's downtown, so it probably sees a lot of downtown traffic. Has some definitely unique challenges with curb and gutter. I would even say there were sections on that I would deem borderline unsafe with the way it's laid out. Streets wide and then narrowing without good transitions. We'd take care of all of that with the design. Mainly, like you just did that section just south of First Street. That's a nice new section, looks great. But it's a nice wide street and it transitions into Skinny Street, so we want to make sure that's taken care of. So that would take a design effort. The second portion would be just north of First Street. And we'd go up to that next section where we transition to the yellow. And that section would be taken care of as well. Same type issues, there's curb and gutter, there's definitely some driveway issues that we'd want to take care of. So that would be a major repair. So there would be no maintenance performed in this second portion. All those yellow sections would wait either for the next round of heavy maintenance and repair, or be rolled up maybe into the next section of 8th Street. Definitely nothing that can't be fixed. The patches we're talking about, when we talk about major repair, we're talking about basically giving you a 20-year street. I mean, this is going to be a brand new street. The heavy maintenance with the mill and overlay, you're probably getting a 10 to 15-year street as long as it's being taken care of. So the things we're recommending here today are long-term maintenance items for the fixes. We did look at a seal and coat for the Ivanhoe Street, and we chose not to go forward with that because you're spending probably $50,000, $60,000 less, but you're losing 8 years of life. So to us, that didn't make economical sense, especially given the traffic loads that are on the street. So we did look at that, we did do estimates for that. We said based on cost and use of the street, we didn't even want to put that forward as being a realistic option that we could comfortably recommend. So those really are the high points. I know that's a lot, but we did do a lot. We looked at several other sections of town, so when we come back after we do the program and we adjust it, there may be some modifications to that. But right now, what we're looking for is approval to allow me to start actually preparing bids and specifications for Ivanhoe so that I can actually get that work started and completed this month. And then we're looking at allowing me to get survey and proceed with the kind of the next step of design for 8th Street. And then once we kind of get those budgets, we may come back and find out I've got a little more money, and then maybe we add another section of street to get designed into next year. The schedule would be for 2017 is we design that through the winter so that we could get that out to bid January, February timeframe and kind of be first in line when it comes to the paving guys doing their 2017 summer program. You get your best bids if you're bidding that out in that January, February, and you know they're willing to give you good prices at that point in time before they get overloaded. So that is all I have formally. I did want to point out Steve Frank I brought down with me. You're going to see his smiling face too. He will be leading the design for the 8th Street project. So once it actually gets to the technical design, Steve takes over all of that work, and he'll probably be the next person down here briefing on anything having to do with the 8th Street portion of it. So with that, I'll take any questions.
When you say bid on Ivanhoe, when would a start time estimate look like?
If you have a 21-day bid, probably.
I'm
Usually it's
concerned about the
3
6th celebration with that street in September.
Yeah, no. it
No.
won't. We did talk about that.
Okay.
We will avoid that, definitely.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Given dates like that, rewrite into contract exclusion periods that you are not allowed to mess with your street. Then no, I'm trying to chase the tail end. I'm trying to play the game of I really want to do it October, November, and not risk getting too far into November that the plant shuts down.
Okay.
But my guess is even in bad weather, the plants are going to run because the contractors need to finish up their jobs.
Right.
The use of the seal versus the mill and overlay, you say there's a difference of 3 years?
More than that.
More than that.
Most chip seals, even if you use a good micro seal, you're probably buying maybe a good 5 years before you need to come back in with the seal again and do some sort of crack sealing or maintenance. With a mill and overlay, where you're actually putting brand new 2 inches of asphalt, you're really getting more like I say 15, but some people I get yelled at when I say 15. They say never promise more than 10 on a mill and overlay. Because you have to still do the crack sealing and you still have to do all that. But crack sealing, doing a mill and overlay and crack sealing at year 8 is a lot cheaper than doing a micro seal and then 5 years later having to do another micro seal and have another one. You're starting to chase that sealing portion. And given the condition of that road, the seal's going to buy you life, but my guess is within, I say a 5-year life, but my guess is within 3 years people are going to start saying their street doesn't look as good as it used to. So it's almost as much as that placebo effect of, for $60,000, it will look like a nice new street for a long time. And then even when the cracks start, and cracks will migrate through, there's no way around that. You get a guy with a crack sealing machine fixes that street in a weekend versus you're spending another $200,000 to seal the whole street again. I do love seals, don't get me wrong. I will be before you at some point in time praising a micro seal because they are absolutely worth it, but not in the condition Ivanhoe is in, especially with the vehicle traffic on it. It's just, I will be getting yelled at as to why my street looked old 2 years after I put a micro seal.
You have any questions, comments, any confusion?
What do you need from us? What are we supposed to say? Do we have to pick between option 1 and 2 for this Ivanhoe 1st Street to 6th Street?
Authorize him to proceed if you like this plan.
Yeah.
We authorize the city to proceed with plans for this construction.
And going out to bid.
Yeah, going out the
For
bid.
both years, both phases, or just for the,
We'll
do
do Ivanhoe now, but I mean, the plan will be set, and then we will, you'll probably come back and speak to us sometime before.
Yeah, because if you're planning, basically you're asking me to proceed with the design of Ivanhoe and 8th Street with the intent of going out to bid. I will probably put Ivanhoe on the street without coming back here. I will not put 8th Street without coming back here. You will see me again saying, because now that I've done the design of 8th Street, I can come back and say, this is what I'm actually able to do. Do we want to continue that? So you're authorizing me to at least head down in that direction and get survey started.
So design on Ivanhoe really is not necessary at all.
Basically, you're authorizing me to put together a bid package and put it on the street. I mean, we can call it a design, but I'm not
It's
producing
really
it.
a maintenance package.
Yeah, it's basically I'm writing a performance specification.
With the exception of between 6 to 7.
We're not doing that as part of this year. So it would be Ivanhoe, and it doesn't show that, it actually says Ivanhoe, and my thing has the street lengths on it, from 1st to 6th.
Yeah.
6th to 7th is not being published.
When would we do that?
That, I would come back, I actually have it highlighted. Based on what we have price-wise, I'm not up to the million yet. Ivanhoe puts me a little over the top. So based on what bids come in for the first part of Ivanhoe, I may very well be back saying, look, I can squeeze in the last section of Ivanhoe. But that would put us, as the numbers show now, that puts me a little over the million lower.
I just live too close to those people.
Yes. On my little cheat sheets, I have Ivanhoe highlighted as the next street to do.
What was our budget for this year? What did we put in the budget?
We put $1 million in there. That doesn't mean you can, budget can be amended if we want to do a little bit more, if it comes to that, so.
Let me collect some sales tax for a couple of months.
That's true.
And then we will talk about how much more we can do.
And we have the full ability to go out. If we start designing 8th Street and we say, look, we're close, we do a lot of things that are ad alternates, which means we may say 8th Street, you've paid to get the design of Ivanhoe, but we've put it as an ad alternate so that when bids come in, we can basically say, look, I can or cannot afford to do Ivanhoe this year, but it's already designed, and if you can't afford it, well, the design's already done, you just reuse the design for the next year. So the design effort's not wasted. It's a great way of, if we're close but we can't bust, then I kind of give myself the options without having to rebid a project.
I have a motion.
Nobody? I authorize all the stuff that you just said while ago. I make that
That was
motion.
where I was getting.
Do we have a second on all that stuff?
I have a second on that, all that stuff.
Thank you very
I
much.
wasn't gonna try to remember it all.
We have a motion to direct the city to continue with the plans and specifications for a letting on the projects mentioned in our agenda.
Ivanhoe 1st to 6th. Option 2.
Right, option 2.
Roll call.
Stroller,
Yes.
Sudden, sorry, I couldn't hear.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I should have included in my comments.
Uh-oh, we've already taken a vote.
I know. But I've been asked by people in the audience to please have everybody speak up a little bit more and be more forceful, because people in the audience can't always hear what the council is saying. So,
Okay, Platt,
Yes.
Eversole,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Gilbreath,
Yes.
Oldmeyer,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys coming in.
I do instead of waving our hand.
We could have paddles.
That could get violent. All right, item 8. Item 8, consider approval of ordinance 2016-11, amending chapter 13 of the Perry Municipal Code of 2013 as supplemented, providing for the amendment of section 13-104 entitled Limits for Storage of Flammable Liquids, Bulk Storage of Liquefied Petroleum Gases, Explosives and Blasting Agents, outside storage of cylinders containing liquefied petroleum gases, suitable barriers required, exceptions, providing for certain new regulation of storage of LPG, providing for repealer, savings clause, codification, severability, penalty, and declaring an emergency. City of Perry, through Bryce Kennedy.
Yeah, Bryce is prepared for this.
Yeah, you may ask, why are we talking about this?
My first question.
Why are we talking about this? Well, from time to time, we get requests to put in propane tanks. And propane tanks inside the corporate limits become an issue. There's a gentleman in town today, in the room today, David Frazier, that wants to put a propane tank on his property located out near the water tower. Remember the water tower transaction where we traded property? He's gonna build a residence out there, and he wants to put a propane tank out there. Now to use for residential purposes. Now, we have ONG, one gas in our community, and they provide, of course, natural gas to the town. That is considered, safer, less volatile than any of the other kind of gases that there are. And, they have a duty to supply that gas, throughout the community. And it's actually supplied in front of David Frazier's house in places that it's not, or it's not readily available. But, the question comes up, are they allowed to have a propane tank? Well, our rule says that there shall be no bulk storage, okay, of liquefied petroleum in the community. Then it says that it is permitted in industrial zones. And we came up with this issue, if you remember, on RN Concrete. And he wanted to put propane out there. I don't know if ONG was out there or not. Was it
propane? I thought it was diesel or gas. I don't think it was propane.
What was it, Chief?
One time it was for fuels.
Yeah, it was diesel
It was
tanks.
for fuels?
Yeah, whatever.
But it was storage. It came under this, it came under this rule. It came up flammable liquids, okay? And we actually went out there and we worked it out. We got the right kind of tanks and we worked that out, correct? Yeah. And so, the issue is, if it wasn't available, could somebody make, an application, right? And then what about, and what is bulk storage? It's not defined. So what is it? What about your LPG in your gas grill or your recreational vehicle? Well, this ordinance seeks to answer that. We're not talking about that. That's okay. Okay. It also says that if you're going to store these tanks, you got to put up barriers. And most folks have it. I don't even know if your folks have it. They normally have it in cages out in front of the dollar store or places. They have the Rhino tanks in cages, and they put up barriers so you can't, run into it and blow up half the store. Okay, and so this addresses that, and then it addresses the issue of, okay, where else could it be allowed? Okay, now I just took a shot at this, okay, and visited with the fire chief. I do know that Mr. Frazier has some comments. The real question comes down to, are we going to allow, propane tanks throughout the community? Let me tell you, in the settled residential places in the community, in my opinion, and I think in the fire chief's opinion, you don't want to allow that, okay, because of the volatility and, and chances for explosion. The question is, if it's not available, if gas isn't available, should we not have some procedure to allow it, okay? And then in instances, should there be allowed, if you're on a big enough property, should there be allowed some freedom of choice? If you're out there, you're not going to be a harm to anyone else. Should there be a freedom of choice allowed? With respect to Mr. Frazier, ONG had quoted him, we're not going to get into the prices, but it quoted him a price. I happened to be meeting with one of the main persons. I told them about Mr. Frazier and the price they quoted, and they cut the price down considerably, okay, by several $1,000s, okay. But the question is, does he want to do that, or should he have the ability to have the tank? The way I've set this up is if, these rules are if you're on industrial property or if you're on any property with 5 or more acres. Now, is that really, because I figured if it's 5 or more acres, that's a pretty big sized tract, and perhaps the fire safety reasons and that aren't as evident on a 5-acre tract. So, for instance, even if natural gas was available, is that something that we would allow on the larger tracts, as long as there were some of these safeguards? Now, I know Mr. Frazier's come here, and he kind of wants to address this, and this may be an issue that we want to send to the Planning Commission and take a look at. It was just time for me. This issue came up, and then it came up, and then it came up, and I just decided that we needed to, I needed to write something to at least start to address it, put it out in front of you, see what your interest was, and see where you wanted to send it. So that's what this ordinance involves. It allows you to eliminate the whole issue about the propane that you have at home, and use. It requires some safety when you're going to sell it or lease it out in front of stores. And it sets up a procedure, some kind of procedure, even if it's available, even if it is available, or maybe if it's not available. What it provides currently is it defines availability. And I think it says 200 feet from the property. Well, what if you're set off 800 feet from the property? I am in my house. I'm like 2 football fields from the property. And I live on 18 acres. So should I be allowed to have, a propane tank? Or should I bear the expense of having the gas line brought out to me? That, of course, is Mr. Frazier's issue. That's why he's here. And he was the latest example of why this is. But I did not tailor this ordinance to him. I just wrote something that I thought was safe. So I think maybe what you might want to do is, like I said, send it to the Planning Commission to hash over, have code, and have the fire department there really talk about the issues of availability, size of lots, use, and what you want, so we could get down something that works and that affects health, safety, and welfare of the community.
Why does this say throughout your ordinance you wrote temporary LPG tank? There's no such thing. If he's going to put a 500-gallon tank out there or whatever it is, it's not temporary.
It would be temporary until natural gas is provided. Because once natural gas is provided, once it was provided, then you would have a duty to connect. Now, this ordinance doesn't provide. I'll tell you one of the things, to be quite honest. This ordinance, and I've changed it, substantially from the way it was, but it came initially from Tonkawa. Pilot on the intersection of Highway 60 and I-35 Pilot, northwest corner located there. They have no natural gas out there. And so they put giant propane tanks out at the Pilot. And they provided that it was just temporary until such time as natural gas came out there. So, you know, you can make it a temporary fix until natural gas is established there. You can give them a right now to do it. It's just that our rules, let's talk about what our rules
Well,
currently are.
if you said that it's a temporary fix until natural gas is provided and they have a duty to, you're saying that there is natural gas there.
Yes, there is natural gas.
So why are we even talking about it?
Well, Mr. Frazier would like to talk.
I mean, I'm not against him doing that.
No,
I'm just saying,
no.
you can't say it's a temporary fix until natural gas is there, because it is there.
In this case, in Frazier, I said I didn't draft this for Mr. Frazier. This isn't a Mr. Frazier ordinance. I mean, in my opinion, perhaps in the fire chief's opinion, if natural gas is there, then you ought to connect to the natural gas. But are there some other reasons? Size of property, location, you know, too close residential. I mean, if you own the 18 acres, of course, you could always subdivide, you know. But, you know, I wanted to get this out there. I think I don't know that I indicated that. Well, I did say approval. My thoughts were when I did it that we would probably send it to planning commission to rehash it. I think that's smart. But I thought it was important enough, and it's been an issue, and it's come up several times, has it not, Chief?
Yes.
It's come up several times, and we don't really know all the answers, you know, and how to inform people. And so I want to get a rule. I want to get a rule in place. And
But prior to today.
Can we hear what David has said?
Well, it was up to the fire chief. The fire chief may issue a permit for the installation of, so he could have had the authority to do this, to take care of this, without having to change the ordinance.
Well,
We crossed it out.
Only in
Well-
industrial.
well, the other
But-
issue, the other issue is that it all depends what the definition of bulk storage is, okay? Because you know, it's logically considered that bulk storage is 250 and larger, correct?
Well, actually, the CFR regulations say it's 119 pounds, or 119 gallons, not pounds.
Oh, okay, so that would even be smaller than that. And so under our code.
Put that in the back of your pickup.
That would only be permitted in an industrial zone. So I'm really wanting us to come up with a rule that we think works, you know?
Well, I'd like to hear what Dave has to
I want to hear what he
say.
says first.
Sure.
Come up, Dave.
I made some maps just so you guys are
Is this zoned in agriculture?
It is zoned
ag?
agricultural
So doesn't that
currently.
present a whole different set of rules? Because they can have all sorts of animals and everything in town.
This would be the property that is on the south side of the railroad track, north of the house that's shown here,
Yes.
just west of the tank.
So in the picture, you can see that's Sandra Smith's house. It sits on top of the hill up there. Of course, the water tower's in that picture, the cell tower. And that's close to about where the house is going to be. Currently, we've got the shop, we're working on the foundation for that, getting the,
Back here?
yeah, yep. And that's from the fence to that area is about 1,320 feet. So it's a quarter mile.
That's where you'll have the propane tank?
Mm-hmm.
How far is it behind Sanders?
About 550 to 575.
And Sandra was notified that you were putting in a propane tank and didn't.
I don't know if that has been done. About 2 months ago,
He hasn't been approved for a propane tank.
But there was a zoning certificate done that notified all of the people around him that that's what he was wanting to do though, correct? The neighbors have been notified.
I don't know if that notification ever happened. I know you did your end of it. I don't know that it went beyond that. And that was what was that, 3 months ago roughly, probably? And I did put in a request for an adjustment to allow the propane tank, as well as there is no sewer there, so to be able to use a septic system. And we're here a couple months after that.
Is that whole piece of property in the city limits?
Yes.
But it's still some debt.
Yeah, what we own, my wife and I, we own a little over 12 acres there. My parents own the surrounding 48 acres. Sandra's got 7 on top of the hill.
And
there
this
is a-
tower has a propane tank sitting out there, I see.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a precedence there, and that sits inside a 1 acre patch.
That's the,
That's a
It's not
propane
industry,
tank.
though.
I assume that's to power a generator in case of power outage.
It's not the
For that
primary
cell tower.
source.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's storage.
But it,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Still
about the
is
same exact
stored
tank that I want to
Commercial
put.
industry.
Yeah. Ironically, that tank is about 600 foot from Sandra's house. Mine will be about 550. So we're almost the same exact distance. But I'll be a lot further away from your water tower.
We'll probably be putting in a generator.
Well, I personally wouldn't call ONG gas service available. That's a long ways out there.
I go with
Quite a
that.
long ways, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's gas available. Available is when it runs across your front yard.
It's somewhere
Well,
in that
it's along the
1450 to
street.
1500 foot
Yeah.
from where the line actually exists.
And
So is it out on 15th?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
over in the
there's a
right of
right-of-way
way
at 15.
on
Yeah, there's
Rotary
natural
Park.
gas line, and that's down 15.
Yep, it's on the opposite side of 15, so they'd have to bore under 15.
I feel like
Well, if
this-
I have the opportunity between, I'm just thinking personally, because I live in the country,
Oh, I
and
see
I
what
have
you're
to
saying,
have
yeah.
propane.
And I currently
But
do too.
I would jump on an ONG gas line. I'd pay to put it in.
If you were using it to heat your house,
Yes.
yes, I'm not. I'm going to go geothermal, so I don't need the gas, I need the gas to cook with.
Okay.
So you're talking about, it's an $1,800 expenditure is what Bryce was able to get them down to,
Yeah.
plus a 20 to as much as 40, maybe $50 a month. I'm not going to use that much propane.
Well, under the
Yeah,
ordinance,
yeah.
190 would be less than bulk storage.
Well,
Was it
but the tank-
119?
Yeah, but the tank is a 500-gallon tank. Yeah, which is exactly what's sitting on the,
I'm just
Verizon
thinking down
tower.
the road. I mean, this is current, the current situation. And so, in my time in Perry, I have found a lot of exceptions were made over the years that probably we wished 5 and 10 years later we hadn't made those exceptions. And so, that's probably why I'm, looking at this a little harder than, it seems so simple maybe to, but exceptions come back to haunt you sometimes.
But you could say agricultural or
Yes.
industrial.
Yes.
Okay? Because it does make some sense there. But we still would define, some of these limits. It may be that an industrial use needs propane, right? They would certainly need it to power those things that you drive around on. Those are, forklifts, and they power that, but they take that from a tank and put that into so there would be a use other than natural gas wouldn't work, So there are some other uses. So we could frame this so that this could work, but of course fitting it to the exception. And let me tell you why we didn't proceed on a variance. Because I don't think that use variances for life, health, safety, and welfare purposes are within the power of the Board of Adjustment. To grant something, okay, I think those are for setbacks and things like that. But not for, I don't want to put sprinklers in my hotel. Or something like that, not life safety issues. You can have a building code board of appeals that can look at those kind of things, but I don't think that's proper for a variance. But to the extent that we want to do this, I think that we could probably structure something being that it's agriculture and it's that far out, something that could work, and it would still be safe for everyone else, but.
Yeah, we have to be careful with agriculture, because I have 2 pieces of property on each side of my house that's agriculture on Wakefield.
Well, you need to define what the size would be
Yeah.
and distances.
I think, it's not my call really. I mean, we could have them look at it, but if it's 500 feet from any structure,
And I did put some notes down there.
that's gonna be a long ways from, I mean, that's gonna exclude a lot of places.
Yeah.
But if you say 500 feet from any structure, that's 500 feet from the house he's living in,
Except my own.
except your own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, down there,
that would have to be.
I put what the
Three.
propane commission, what their rules state down there. It's only gotta be 10 foot from the house, per their rules. It's only gotta be 25 foot from a septic or water well, 10 foot from an electric power line, 25 foot from adjoining property. That's their guidelines. And so from a safety perspective, and I contacted insurance. I asked them, okay, if I go natural gas or I go propane, do you rate it different? No. How many of us have had, you file a claim on a car and your rates go up? If they deemed it more dangerous, they charge you more. Technically, if you look at the numbers, it is more volatile, but if a house that fills up with natural gas is gonna blow up just as quick as a house that fills up with propane. I mean, in our industry, how many times do we hear about somebody that nicks a gas line, gas flows back down, settles in a basement, which I don't have a basement, by the way, and a house or an entire residence area is level. And those are natural gas lines. The probability of you hitting my 50-foot line versus that quarter of a mile line that we're talking about here, it's me and I'm the one that bites it.
So you're saying we can change it now, we don't have to
No,
go through.
well, no, I mean, I would suggest that we put a little bit more time into it. I mean, you can send it to the planning commission. You send it to the planning commission.
This needs to be tabled, but what happens with his request that he's been waiting on?
Here's
Well,
the deal.
where are you now
Where
in
does
the
the zoning,
construction?
where does that go from your desk? I mean, with the zoning,
We're supposed to inform all homeowners, landowners within 300 feet of any new building, like if they're putting in a new building or a propane tank or something like that, so that they have time to object to having
well, I think that needs to happen before we
Yeah.
even mess with anything else.
But there's not a house
There isn't
within
anything
300
within
feet of
300 feet.
the
But there is within my
That's
property line.
Their property.
property line.
As a matter of fact, the city of Perry, because my property goes halfway around that.
Well, and you don't
That
want
water
to ask
tower
him to pay for
and
something
Center
like
Smith.
that before it's even allowed to have.
I think the ordinance itself needs to go before the Planning and Zoning Committee. As for his request, this council can decide to let him put in a propane tank if we wish.
Well, I'm excited he wants to build a house.
I
Well, but he can't stay in
exactly
Me too.
what I've been saying from the get-go. We make it so hard for people to build homes here.
Make your motion.
And thank you, I make a motion, we go ahead and let him put his propane.
I
But
say,
I don't know that I necessarily want to
Right.
vote on this ordinance right now.
I don't think we're
No.
not posted for that sort of action.
No,
on this
we're only
agenda.
talking about the
No.
ordinance, and I don't want to discuss it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can come back fairly quickly with something that will work. Where are you in your process right now? I mean,
We're
what-
building ourselves, so our goal is to be in by Christmas of 2017. So there is time.
Okay,
But it would be nice to know where I'm going.
sure.
Because if I go in ONG, we're gonna have on-demand hot water tanks. If I have to go ONG, I'm gonna use some gas to help justify that cost. And those on-demands are gonna go to gas, which I'd rather not do from a safety perspective. The electricity doesn't blow up.
But you've got 2 weeks, right? I mean, we could get this
Yes.
on the agenda for the next meeting.
Well,
If it goes
we
to
have
the
planning
planning
commission at the end of the month.
Right.
Okay.
And we could have it on the agenda for the first meeting in September.
We will table this and with their agreement, but because you can already see you got favorable response from the council, and we'll have to go through the planning commission, they report back to us and take action.
Okay, and someone will let me know when the next meeting is.
Yeah, it's the
Discusses-
fourth Thursday,
Fourth
and then,
Thursday.
and then this would be the first Monday.
Okay,
But no, it'll be the first Tuesday because there's Labor Day.
okay, and I watched postings, that's how I found out about it.
Yes.
I saw that, and I'm like, I need to come. Let them know there were some odd circumstances out there.
Dave has your contact info.
Yes,
Dave Surratt.
yep.
So typically.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a couple of months, but
Yeah,
he-
typically.
he's waiting on me to say, hey, come look at
Right. Yeah.
the concrete or pre-concrete.
So normal process is he would notify, you know, the parties
Okay,
and provide the agenda and information.
okay. All right.
Motion to table this?
Second.
Third.
Councilman Platt, Councilman Eversole, you all okay with that decision? Roll call.
Sterling.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, council, item 9, consider appointment of Dr. Julian Cecil to the trustee position, number 2, to the Perry Memorial Hospital Authority, nominated by medical staff and appointed by the city council for a 1-year term expiring May 2017. The medical staff out there takes turns serving as in this position. He will be a member of the trustee board and a voter. I'm sorry if I didn't. But his assistant in that, or one who would follow in behind him if he wasn't there, would be one of the other doctors, probably Hartwig or Baird. So this is an appointment, just.
Is this a
have a
seat
letter in
that
here.
Dr. Hartwig's vacating?
Yes. They take turns doing this, and it's his time in the hot seat. So.
Motion to make that appointment?
Second.
Second, roll call, please.
Stroller.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 10, any new business need to be brought before the council this evening by any member? Any new business? Seeing none. Item 11. Wait for me to read this. Consider convening into executive session for the purpose of discussing negotiations concerning employees and representatives of employees, Local 4242 of the fire, conferring in a matter pertaining to economic development, the city of Perry, and to discuss business proposals in the South Commercial Park to create and retain jobs, payroll, and to increase or to continue tax collections. As a public disclosure of this would interfere or will interfere with the development and implementation of the proposal. Consider convening an executive session for the purpose of confidential communication between the city attorney, governing body concerning the Second Amendment to the Economic Development Agreement with RSM LLC and a certificate of deposit guaranteed agreement dated 20th day of October 2014 and a potential claim. If governing body determines, with the advice of the city attorney, that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the governing body to process the claim in public interest, conferring on the matter pertaining to the economic development of the city of Perry, to discuss a business proposal to create or retain jobs and payroll. As public disclosure would interfere with the development and implementation of this proposal. Motion, please.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Stroller.
Yes.
Platt. Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert. Yes. Colburn.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
No, where's that?
No.
Okay, need a motion to reconvene?
Motion to reconvene?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Strong.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Eversole.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Collier.
Yes.
Johnson.
I can't hear you. What?
Item 13, is any action necessary from executive session?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion is second to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Platt.
Yes.
Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Collier.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.